All right. Well, many may protest, but the Dow kind of collectively shrugs in the face of all of this for a while, hitting an all-time high, backing off just a tad right now. 10-year Treasury notes on the dollar hitting 2016 highs. Interest rates go higher on the growing belief that whatever happens in a Trump administration, economic activity is going to pick up, and maybe with that a little inflation. There is a difference between a little inflation, a lot of inflation. A little inflation could be welcome. A lot of inflation, just ask Jimmy Carter. Not so welcome. To Trump transition team member for Economic Issues, David Malpass, on those worries. Dave, very good to have you. What do you think is the markets are telling us on this inflation thing? They'd welcome a little, but not a lot, right? I guess what I'm asking, what's a little?
Hi, Neil. Well, we haven't had much inflation, and, you know, the bond yields had been very low, thinking that growth was going to stay super low into the future, as it has been in recent years. Trump comes along, says, let's have faster growth. Won't that be better for Americans? Won't we have more jobs? So the bond yields are going up. I don't think that's a signal of anything wrong. That's a signal that we're anticipating more growth going forward. As far as inflation itself, the Fed hasn't created money. I think they've actually been a drag on the economy. And so I don't think the inflation would come from them. There is the question of, could you get inflation if you didn't make structural reforms? Like, let's say the country just blocks change, and so you can't get more production. Then you would have maybe harmful inflation at some point in the future. No reason to anticipate that now.
When you look at what the markets are saying, and at first the violently negative reaction late election night when it looked like he was going to win, versus what happened just hours after that and since that time, the markets seem to be okay with the prospect of a President Trump and okay with his economic policies, it would seem.
Right. I think there's kind of three things going on. One, the market went down when there was the risk of a hung election. You know, it wasn't clear that Secretary Clinton was going to concede that night, and so the market is looking at the possibility of a protracted indecision. That would have been an uncertainty. And then second, people hadn't, I think, properly digested Trump's policies. They are growth policies. And so that's going to end up being good for profits, for jobs, especially for jobs. And so that's going on now. And so I think we can go forward with the markets trying to digest very high valuations, but more growth coming. That's what the markets are signaling. Gold is down. That's not signaling inflation. Copper is up. That's signaling growth. So right now we have a decent environment for policy making.
These protests that have been accelerating and now involving high school students on both coasts, and talk of more to come, does that image get in the way, and the controversy and all the dust-up since the election get in the way of a President-elect Trump and ultimately a President Trump enacting provisions that were popularly approved in very fair and square American elections?
I don't think it's in the way. I think, though, that what we need to do is have all Americans really recognizing that people need to pull together and move forward in ways that will create more jobs. You know, we've had this long period where young people were having great difficulty getting jobs. Some of them turned to socialism and were supporters of Bernie Sanders. Others are just against anybody that's elected. And so what we need to do at this point, I think, is pull together and get better policies in place, and that's what the task at hand is. It's going to be a lot of detailed work. You know, in every area of government, we've had the federal government controlling what people do, and they haven't done a very good job at it. So some part of this is to correct those policies as quickly as possible so that people can get on with their lives, have more prosperity. That's the highest priority.
David, thank you very, very much. David Malpass.